wonder what the oldest profession was. And when I was very young, I thought, like, you will probably do it was prostitution. When I was a bit older and I became a management consultant, I thought that was probably the oldest profession. And they've got quite a lot in common, actually. You've got it, you sell it, you still have it. But I now realise that sales is the oldest profession. And in a minute, I'm going to give you 3 tools that might be useful for selling more and better. And I say sales as the oldest profession in the sense of persuasion, and you remember Adam and Eve and that snake who persuaded Eve to eat the apple. The snake was really a master salesperson. And more than that, I think sales is central almost to everything. Work, careers, job interviews, getting people to buy things, getting people to change their mind and do things, love, relationships, all sorts of different areas are all about sales. And there are a number of big trends going on in sales at the moment which make it more challenging. You think about the speed of decision making. Very fast now. Swipe left, swipe right. Think about attention spans. We're running for humans at about 8 seconds at the moment. I think goldfish can manage about 8 seconds as well. Think about leadership. Leadership used to be about hierarchy and power. And to some degree it still is. But it's much more lateral now, about persuasion. And think about the energy you need now to make sales in the world of all the competition and competitors. And think also about the impact of social media, which provides a lot of noise, but also a lot of opportunities. So in that world, here are 3 sales tools I have tried and I have found useful. And maybe they will be useful for you. They're simple to say, but not necessarily that easy to do. So the first one, and they're going to go A to C. The first one is attracting clients. And this phrase that you will have heard, benefits sell, features tell. So imagine you have a bed to sell. From a supplier point of view, you might be talking about the mattress and the colour and the headboard and so on. But from a customer point of view, what you're actually selling, or the benefits, which might be a good night's sleep, there might be some fabulous decor, there might be something to do with sex. But it's benefits rather than features. Do you remember the iPod? Excuse me, remember the iPod? Gigantic memory for the time. But what was it selling? What were the benefits? 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's benefit for the customer. If you think now about Pepsi and Coke adverts, there's not a lot about water and a syrupy mixture that can taste quite pleasant, is there? It's all about, the adverts are all about footballers, with the implication that they're great people, they drink the stuff, Lionel Messi drinks it, therefore you should. Or maybe the implication and the benefits are you'll become a great footballer, you know, if you drink Coke and Pepsi. And if they're not about that, they are rather more stressing things like happiness. Drink Coke, drink Pepsi, what's the benefit? Happiness. You've got to be careful when you have happiness as a benefit. I don't know if you saw it, but I remember seeing an interview with Madame Pompidou, the ex-wife of a French president. And the interviewer said to her, Madame Pompidou, what is the purpose of life? And this isn't a joke, this is true. And she said, the purpose of life is to have a penis. The thing was, she had a very heavy French accent. And what she'd actually said was, the purpose of life was happiness. And the look on the interviewer's face, and he didn't know what to say after that. So an example of selling benefits is this, and it happened to me, and I haven't normally been as successful as this, but this was an occasion that just worked like a dream. I've been working for Unilever. 7 years later, I was with KPMG, a leading management consultancy. And I was walking near Fleet Street. And suddenly in front of me was my ex-boss called Tim, who was head of a large economics department at Unilever. And he said, hello. He said, who do you work for? And I said, KPMG. He said, what do you do? And I didn't say very much. I said, how are you, Tim? And he said, great, but I've got all these projects. Economists are like herding cats. They never finish them in time. It's a nightmare. And I managed to say, we've got experts at KPMG who work on project management, who could track projects for you and get rid of some of that disruption. If you like, that's a benefit statement. And I've added to that, which is a closing statement, shall I bring one of them along and have a meeting with you? I wouldn't normally have the courage just to go for it like that. And he said, yeah, that sounds okay. Then it's a bit about closing. I've made the mistake before of just walking away, having had that conversation. So I said, well, have you got an agenda with you? Can we get a date in your diary? He said, no, phone me. I said, can I phone you or do I phone your secretary? Phone my secretary. And I then remembered to say, please tell her to expect a call from me. Because if you don't do that, you then don't get through the secretary sometimes. Anyway, that was how KPMG picked up Unilever as a client, a very significant multi-billion-pound client. Between you and me, we actually messed up the work and we never got any more work. But we successfully, I successfully on that occasion managed to sell the benefits. So you all know the principle of selling benefits, and indeed in common parlance now, you know, we actually talk about friends with benefits. So the B, A, B, C, that was attracting clients with benefits. Benefits, you sell benefits, benefits sell. Building brands, that's pretty obvious really. The brand is one way of distinguishing yourself and your products from others. And we know that if you aren't distinct, there's a fair chance you'll be extinct. Take, for example, these two pens, both of which I bought. You've got this pen here, and this pen here. This is a pretty standard ballpoint, it's nice, but it's a Schaefer. Fairly readily available, but heavily branded. Now this pen, which I love, is a handmade wooden pen, wonderfully heavy, which I also love, made by an individual craftsman, a fair way out of London. I think this is a much more fun thing. But he's never been able to brand it. It's remained a crafts item, sold at craft sales. It's sold for a lot less than this. And the difference primarily is that one is a brand and the other isn't. If you think now about the growth of personal brands, Joe Wicks, Lean in 15, Zoella, Kardashian. I mean, that brand, the Kim Kardashian's brand is a bit of a bum deal, but I'm not going to make jokes about that. Politicians are personal brands. Think about Trump. You may not like him, but he's created a personal brand, along with Kim Jong-un. I always thought they'd get on well together, because they had three things in common. They promote their family, they have gigantic egos, and they have silly hairstyles. It's pretty obvious they get on well together. The C is for capturing clients. Once you've got them, you have to hold on to them. You look at the lifetime value of a client, which is the opposite of what goes on at the moment. all the banks, all the utilities offer new potential customers deals. They don't really look after their current customers. I worked with a colleague called Fred, and I could never work out why he was so successful. And the thing was, once he had a client doing consultancy work, he'd go all around the client to introduce himself to different people. He'd start working on his report, which always said there were lots to implement, and it was very difficult, and what you needed was an excellent project manager who could galvanise staff to work with you and implement the recommendations. And the client, of course, never had such a person, and they always used Fred to implement all those recommendations. So he never had many clients, but every client he had grew and grew and grew. So, 3 tips. Attract clients with benefits. Build your brand, or at least your point of difference. Once you've got a client, capture them and keep them and try and sell more and deeper to them. And sales, ladies and gentlemen, really is the oldest profession, and it covers almost everything in life. May you be successful salespeople.